Welcome back to another episode of Hubler Automotive Group Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Reece Byerly, and today I am joined with a familiar face on the show, Thomas Crow. How you doing today?
Well, thanks for having me, Reece. I feel like I'm kind of reliving my glory days.
These are the glory days, Thomas. And today we are joined with a great friend of ours, great coach, Mr. Josh Sabol. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right, guys. Thanks for having me.
So the last time we had you on here, you guys had just won sectionals, kind of looking into the regional and on, and everything has kind of gone how you guys wanted it to. You know, obviously regional champions beat two tough teams in East Central and Bedford North Lawrence, and then last week at SemiState, you guys beat a tough Mooresville team.
Yeah, I mean it's a whirlwind, especially that regional week. I mean, because essentially you're preparing for 3 games. You know, because obviously you're preparing for the first opponent, but then you don't know who you're playing in the championship game. So you really have to go in with like 3 different game plans, and then, you know, between games, you go to the hotel, and there's just a bunch of logistics that are going on. You know, so for 2 years in a row, we've been able to navigate that pretty well, and you know, come out on top. And then obviously, like you said last week at Jasper, you know, against a familiar opponent in Mooresville, winning semi-state was pretty awesome.
Well, Coach, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
At the beginning of the year, I think a lot of people were, you know, cautiously optimistic about us getting to this point. But you know, the job's not done yet, but now that you finally made it to the state championship game, how does that just feel?
Oh, it feels great. I think, you know, for coaches and players, you know, this is probably something that you will look back on like a couple weeks or like a couple months from now, you know, when you actually can just like decompress and look back, and you're going to say like, wow, that was pretty awesome. But right now, I think the players and the coaches are just locked in on Saturday, and, you know, do what we need to do to bring home the championship.
Obviously, Noblesville is a very tough team who you guys will face in state. You know, a UConn commit and great players around her. You know, how do you guys kind of game plan for that one superstar on their team?
Well, I think, you know, the one thing for us is that, you know, we have to worry about like ourselves first and foremost. Like, you know, our habits are really going to determine how, you know, this game unfolds. You know, so obviously we're going to be focusing on ourselves first. But then, you know, when you look at their team, I mean, obviously everyone thinks about Ashland Shade, but they actually have a lot of really, really good pieces around them. You know, and we're going to have a game plan. You know, we're not going to share the secret sauce right here on this show, but you know, we'll be prepared and looking forward to Saturday.
So, for your entire season, I think consistency is the one word that I think of. How going into a state championship do you keep the consistency throughout this week of not getting too high, not, you know, letting the nerves get too much?
Yeah, I think, you know, like our girls all season long, you know, have had, you know, really, really high expectations. I mean, I think last year, you know, we made it to the Final Four, but it was a little bit of a surprise. Where this year, you know, we were everyone's biggest game. So, you know, we're kind of used to having that like target on our back and getting everyone's best shot night in, night out. And I think just that consistency over the course of a season against a really strong schedule will have us ready to go on Saturday.
So you guys have obviously never practiced at Bankers Life, never played there as a team, and going Saturday night, it's going to be a big crowd. A lot of people from Noblesville and Franklin are going to be there. How do you kind of prepare your girls in the best way that you possibly could to be ready for when the game gets hectic, the fans are loud, you know, the game's sped up? How do you guys just kind of prepare for something that you really can't honestly prepare for?
Well, I think, you know, for us, like the way that we've prepared all season long, like we're not going to treat this, you know, any differently. And we've played in some, you know, some venues this year that, you know, normally we wouldn't play in. You know, I think playing at the Hall of Fame and going down to Newcastle, I think that was, you know, one of those experiences where, you know, we weren't really familiar with that gym either. You know, and then going down to Jasper, kind of same thing there. So, you know, this isn't the first time that we've had to play in a venue that we're unfamiliar with. So we're not even really thinking about that. As far as preparation, you know, just like I said, taking care of ourselves first. Okay. Of course, we got the boys coming in, you know, tomorrow and Thursday to give us a great look. And you know, our JV girls also do an amazing job of getting us ready. You know, and you know, they had an amazing season. They only had 1 loss. So whenever we have, the JV girls, and then we have the boys come in, and then like looking at those previous experiences, like I said, at the Hall of Fame and some of the different venues this year, we'll be ready.
Heading into this final game, you have two seniors, Ashlyn Traylor, Corinne Brunson. Win or loss, this is going to be their final game. Mm-hmm. How do you get them just mentally focused on the game, not the aftermath?
I think, those two players, if you think about their career, both of their careers, like, they're two all-time greats, and to say that your last game in high school was playing for a state championship is a pretty cool thing. Corinne and Ashlyn, they are very two focused young ladies, and I think they know that like what's to come on Saturday. So I don't think it's gonna phase them at all. I think they're going to be locked in and prepared, and they're both going to have really, really good games.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have a well-balanced roster with 8 players who can do anything you ask them. Top to bottom of the varsity roster, you have 8 girls that can come in on any night and just score 15 points, or some of them can have an off night and others pick it up for them. How do you make sure that you guys are just always ready and prepared with the 8-man roster to do the best that you can do on each and every night?
Well, I think defining roles and knowing like what is expected of each girl is extremely important, like playing to your strengths. I think also having consistency, like, hey, at the 4:30 mark, I know I'm going in, or at the 2-minute mark, I know I'm going in. So that way, there's no surprises, and the girls know exactly what they're doing when they go into the game. And I think over the course of the season, we've been able to play a lot of girls in a lot of these games. So when their number gets called, whether you're playing for a semi-state, championship or a state championship, I think just kind of having those roles defined and knowing, and playing to your strengths, I think is what kind of gets them ready to go in and contribute at any moment.
You said earlier that, at the end of the season, you can decompress and kind of realize like what has happened.
Right.
I think that's a lot harder for people in the community to
Definitely.
do. What has the outreach of the community been?
Oh my gosh! We have the absolute best fan base. Whether it's parents have reached out, former players, from like 10, 20, 30 years ago have reached out. We've got so much going on in the community this week to support the girls. We've got administrators, stakeholders in the community. Like, so many people have reached out over the last few weeks, just kind of showing their support. And Mr. Doty and his staff have done an amazing job of making the girls feel really, really, really special. And this week has been no different. It's been first class all the way, and it's pretty amazing because I've been at other places, and the support that we get here in Franklin is the best I've seen.
As a coach, you always want your players to be healthy and the best that they can be on any night. Is the practice schedule for this week going to be a little bit lighter? Because obviously you guys have been going, a lot of games recently. Hasn't really stopped since November. Is the practice schedule going to be lighter to make sure your players are healthy, or you guys going to game plan as much as you can, like watch film and then practice for a little bit less longer?
We try to keep the routine the same. So like, for example, Monday and Tuesday is more of like an install type day, where we're going against the JV girls. Then we bring in the boys on Wednesday and Thursday to give us that bigger, faster, stronger look, so the girls are kind of ready for the speed of the game. And then Friday is just kind of more of just a walkthrough, film, scouting report day. And then, Saturday we'll have a shoot around and kind of, tie up any loose ends. So we try to keep it consistent and keep the routine the same. And I think that just keeps the girls focused and not, doing anything different than we've done all year. And speaking of injuries, I got to give a lot of credit to Marcus and Casey. I mean, all year long, they've kept our girls healthy. They've kept our girls playing. And when you play 30 games, you are going to have a bunch of bumps and bruises and injuries along the way. And our athletic training staff does a phenomenal job of not just keeping our girls healthy and giving them the treatment that they need, but getting them ready to play at their best on game day. They're amazing.
Well, Reece, I'll let you close us out, but Coach, congratulations on making it this far.
Thank you.
We hope that you make it to the ultimate goal. Everybody, obviously, like you said, in the community is rooting for you. us here are rooting for you, and we wish you the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you guys here, like what you guys do with Mr. Hankins in this class, and what you guys do with Coach's Corner and the podcast and stuff, and just coming to the games, like the Blue Crew and everything like that. Like what you guys do here is special, and it makes the girls feel, like this is a big time program, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Backpacking off Thomas, he summed it up perfectly. Whole community's behind you. Obviously, we're behind you. Best of luck to you guys this weekend, and thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Go Lady Cubs.
And that was another episode of Hubler Automotive Group Coach's Corner.
Hubler is proud to be the official sponsor of Franklin Athletics. Score massive savings on all your favorite brands. Plus get our 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty included. For all auto needs, just click drivehubler.com. Let's go Grizzly Cubs!